Hello, today we're going to be having a go at making some mini cheddar sourdoughs. But the first thing you have to do when you're making any sourdough is you need a starter, a sourdough starter. And I have a sourdough starter here, and I've had this sourdough starter for about 8 years now. I just keep refeeding it, and it gets develops and gets bigger and stronger as time goes by. And what I'm going to do tonight, because I'm going to show you how you refeed a starter, and then after refeeding you have to leave it for about a good, well I do, this particular starter, you need to leave it for at least 12 hours before you can use it on the bread that you're going to be making. So this is the first stage of making a sourdough and what we're making is mini cheddar sourdoughs. What I have here is, like I say, my starter, and I've had it a really long time, and ordinarily, because I don't bake sourdough every day or every week or anything like that, sometimes I might go a month without making sourdough. This sourdough lives in the fridge, and sometimes this can live up to 2 months, maybe a little bit more. You're pushing it after about 2 months, but up to 2 months it's usually still good to go. The ratio, the ingredients when you're refeeding, all you need is a bit of your sourdough starter, flour and water, and that's it. And the ratio that I use of these 3 ingredients is 1:1. So if I use 100 grams of the existing starter, which has been fermenting for about 2 months in the fridge now, I will use 200 grams of flour, 100 grams of water. If it was 200 grams of the old starter, it would be 400 grams of flour and 200 grams of water. But today I'm just going to do, because I don't use a lot, I'm just going to use 100 grams of starter, 200 grams of flour, 100 grams of water. So I've already got 200 grams of flour in there. I need my scales. That's on 0. Look, and as you can see in the bottom, it's got like a honeycomb texture inside, and that tells me it's still pretty, lively in there. It's a very strong. You couldn't use this straight into making your bread because it would be far too strong. It'd be like almost vinegary. And so you got to, by refeeding it and then leaving it for 12 hours, it will have that strength and a tiny little bit of taste, what you're looking for really in a sourdough. So yeah, you'd never use a starter that's been fermenting for more than 3 days. If it's been fermenting for 3 days, after 3 days I'll always refeed it again before using it. So anyway, my scales have gone off. So I've got 200 grams of flour in there. I've got 82. Don't matter if it's slightly over. There's 107 there, but it doesn't matter. Put that there. So what I do with this, I suppose it's a bit like if you're making an apple crumble. That's all I do, is I rub it between my fingers and my thumb, and I just crumble it. I suppose when you're making scones or making pastry, or making crumble topping, this is what you would do. You just rub it between your fingers. I'm not looking for really fine crumbs. I'm just trying to get a balance of where it looks like there's more sourdough lumps, starter lumps, than, and that's really what you're looking for, is just a very, you know, mixed. That would be, you know, if that was a crumble, that would be great to just go on a crumble on the fruit and that. So what we've got, I better get these bits off. Right, so now we've got our flour and our starter. Let's move that out of there. I'll put it back on here, and now I only need 100 grams of water. I'll just gently trickle it around. In fact, I might give it more than 100, but just only a tiny bit, because it is quite firm. There we go. I'll stick with 100. It's 101. And once you've got that in there, just get your scraper and go around trying to combine the water in with your flour. Now this is a very stiff starter. Many people have a very runny starter when they're making bread, but what I'll be doing in this case is, when this has risen and it's ready for use in morning, I'll be taking an amount, I can't remember what it is, it's about, I think it might be around about 170 grams of the starter. So I'll take 170 grams of this starter and mix it with the amount of water that I'm going to be using for the bread. I'm just going to give this a little kneading to make sure that it's fully combined. Now, when you, many years ago when I first started, this originated from just flour, water, and some, I think I used apple, just little bits of apple, and I mixed it in with the flour and water, and then over a period of a week I would just keep an eye on it, and once it started bubbling, because it'll start bubbling but it'll reach a peak, and at that peak you need to refeed it again. Take some away, refeed it again with more flour and water, and then mix it up, and then you just keep doing that so it builds some strength over a week. And then eventually you get to a stage where you end up with a sourdough starter that you can use in bread. But nowadays, you don't have to go through that process. If you want to do it, just for the experience, then there's a Richard Burton here, the French baker. He explains how to make it fully over it. He kind of gives a recipe and the process. But nowadays, you can just, 9 times out of 10, you can get them from any good bakery supplies place, you know, mainly online. I know in the UK, there are a number of bakery stores that sell a starter through the post. They'll just send it, and then with some instructions on what to do. Usually they'll just say, like, put it in a bowl, add some flour, some water, and give it a good mix, and put it somewhere warm and let it take, and And then I assume that after 12, 14 hours, it'll be ready to be used to make a nice sourdough loaf. So I've combined this, and it's just a soft dough. Put that in the bottom there. I don't know why this is an old bag, which I always use, because I've got it in my head that some of the natural yeasts are actually stuck to the bag, or in the bag. It's just something. So I always use this bag, but you can use any kind of, it's coming apart now, plastic bag, and you just cut it over the sides, or a nice piece of plastic, where plastic sheet, and you put it over the top. And I always put an elastic band around it as well to kind of seal it. And all you do is just put that aside and leave it. I'll be leaving that till probably more than 12 hours. I'll start baking the sourdough tomorrow around about 10 o'clock in the morning. But it doesn't matter. And then when I use a portion of that to make the little mini cheddar sours, all I'll do is I'll just put that in the fridge, and it'll live there, like I say, for anything up to around about 2 months. If I'm not going to make a cheddar if not going to make a sourdough after 2 months, I'll just give it a refeed and put it back in the fridge. And that has been going 18 years now, and it's never let me down. So that's the first stage. Those ratios that I use in terms of starter to flour to water, when it comes to refeeding, that is just what I use, because I know that when it's in the fridge, if I go to it in a month's time, it's going to be absolutely fine. However, if I used more water, I understand the more water, the more hydrated it is, the faster it will reach its peak, because it's a living organism, and it's using flour and water as its source of food and hydration. And it gets to a point where there's no more food left, and that's the point it needs refeeding. So, and that process happens much quicker the greater the hydration. So 1, 2, 1 is the ratio that I use, and I find it's absolutely great, and it's never let me down. So anyway, I'll see you in morning when we come to do the mini cheddar sours. Morning. Well, the starter has had its time to refresh, so it's time to make the mini sour cheddars. As you can see, it's got all bubbly and all honeycomby, and that's what it should look like when it's refreshed. What we need though is 200 grams of this. Oop. Wrong. 200 grams, another bit this way. 200 grams of the starter. Ooh, nearly there. It's a bit stiff, but it doesn't really matter when you see. There we go. Put that on there. So I've got 200 grams of the starter, 170 grams of water, And what we do is we just break the starter up with a whisk, small strong whisk preferably, because you have to pummel it a little bit to break it down. Give it a little bit of a stir, and the idea is it doesn't have to be perfectly melted, whatever the word, broken down, assimilated into the water, but you know, we need to get rid of the big lumps. Just keep going around like this for a minute or two. There we go, it's starting to break down now. Just takes a while for the water to penetrate the stiff, refreshed sourdough starter. There we go. I think there we go. So we've got 200 grams of starter, fresh starter, 170 grams of water, 150 grams of cheddar, grated, put that over there. Just give that a whisk in to make sure it's all down there. We've got 8 grams of salt there, which I'm going to put in to the 320 grams of flour. Just give it a little stir with my fingers, and then pop the flour in with the cheesy sourdough starter, and then just trying to clear my space. Then we need to bring it all together. This is the way that I do it, just keep going around the ball. With your scraper, bringing it into the middle, and then just breaking that up so it's a chance to get, and then where's my scraper? Here we go. Get the scraper, the bench knife I should say, clean that off there, and then start using your hands to bring it together. I find that if you just turn your bowl around with you holding your dough at the bottom like that, it tends to bring whatever's at the bottom sticking to the bottom of your bowl. It's a good way of relieving that. Here we go, it's coming together really nice now. It's a right stiff dough. We're coming together nearly. Just making sure that all the dry flour is incorporated. This isn't the kneading stage. This is just still bringing everything together. So now we've got all the ingredient mixture into a rough dough. And what we do is we leave that now for 10 minutes just to rest. Leave that just to rest for 10 minutes, and then we'll start kneading it in a different type of fashion as we usually understand. This is going to be kneaded in a very simple fashion, but I'll show you that in about 10 minutes. So see you in 10. Hello. Well, it's had 10 minutes to rest. Now the kneading process is going to be by what we call the stretch and fold technique. So we take the dough out of the thing, give it a little bit of a push down, and what you do is you stretch the dough and pull it back to the centre. Stretch the dough, pull it back to the centre. Stretch, fold, stretch, fold, stretch, fold. Just keep stretching and folding until you finally come back to the beginning again. Give it a little bit of push down like that. And then we put it back in the bowl and leave it for 10 minutes again, just to rest. And we do this process 4 times. So we'll see you again in 10 minutes. Well, 10 minutes have lapsed. So it's just a case of taking it out of the bowl, stretch, fold, bringing it in. You feel the dough already getting tighter. There we go. Put that back in the bowl and leave it for another 10. Another 10 minutes are gone. Just keep taking it out again and going through the whole process as before. We've just got one more of these to go in another 10 minutes, and then it'll kind of go on to the next stage. I'll pop that back in there and I'll see you again in 10. Well, the final 10 minutes have lapsed, so just one more go at this. Stretching and folding all the way around. There we go. Pop it back in the bowl, where it will now rest. Well, it's first proof. So it'll stay in there for an hour to go through its first proof, and then after that we'll take it out and knock it back a little and start shaping the little mini sourdoughs. Okie dokie, so I'll see you in an hour. Hello. Well, the dough has had its first proof. So what we need to do now is knock it back a bit. Hold on. But all it does is just a little. That'll be enough. It didn't need to be, you go mad at it. What I'm going to do is just pull it out bit by bit, because what we're going to do is make the 4 mini sourdoughs. So the best way to do it that I know is to just roll that up like that into a little sausage. I think that's about half. Switch the scales on. We'll soon find out. I think they're there or thereabouts the same. 414. Oh, 445. So if I take a little bit off the end there, that'll be 428. 431. That's not bad, is it? So 427 would make it 214, say, a roll. So let's see, about 214, 217, that'll do. And then what's that one? 211. You get one slightly bigger than the other. 215, 217, not bad. So what we've got there now is 4. Right, and this, the way of shaping these is just the same as when you're making any bap or small round thing. Just get it like that, and then just start rolling round like that. And what you find that as you do that, I'm going in a clockwise motion, it starts to pull together from the bottom. And there you go. There's one. And you get the next one. Just roll it around. I generally go in a clockwise motion, but you could go anti-clockwise and it would equally, you know, do it together. Another. And again. Here we go. 3. And I'll put that on the bottom. Rolling around. Here we go. Here we go for the 4th. So what I'm going to do, put these on a tray. With a little bit of baking parchment. Sort of like try and give them enough space to rise while proving, but at the same time not too close that they might end up sticking together. So there we go, we've got our 4 mini sours ready to prove, go through the second proof for which will take, I think, around about 3 hours, 3 hours 15 or something like that. Because you see I've got my trusty prover out again, but you could equally use one of them bags, like I say. There we go, already in there to go for 3 hours. After 3 or 4 hours, after around about 3 hours, they'll be ready to go in the oven. So I'll see you in 3. Right, the bread has been proven for around about 3.5 hours. But bear in mind, it's been proven in this proving box. So it is a little bit quicker than what normally would take place. If you've not got a proving box and you've only got a plastic bag and your plastic bag's in a warm room, I would still think it takes about 4 to 4.25 hours to prove. But this, because it's so warm in there, the proving process has gone pretty quick. Also, in the oven, I've put in a baking stone. If you don't have a baking stone, it doesn't matter. I like to use a baking stone. Like you say, these are already on a tray. You can just put the tray straight in the oven to do the cooking. You don't need a baking stone. It's just that I prefer to use one. If you want to get one on eBay, they're pretty cheap. You know, you can get one really easy on eBay. The oven's been on for about an hour with the baking stone because it takes a good hour for the baking stone to get hot. Right, what we're going to do with these little lovelies? Well, first, we're going to put a little semolina and flour dusting on, like this. And now I'm going to give them a slice down the middle. They just look absolutely smashing. And then across. Have to be just gentle with your fingers because it is a very soft dough. Well, you know, the same as anything. They're not like rock buns, so you don't want to push. Deflate. Yeah, you don't want to deflate the one of the advantages of baking any sourdough on a baking stone is that you get you get a better oven spring. Now the oven spring is when it comes up really fast. It's like the dough springs up and comes alive really quick. So that's one of the advantages of having, but a thin base tray like this one is more than good enough. I used to have some, there we go, that's better. We're on me. I used to have these, what you call Bannerton baskets, and I used to prove these mini sours in the Bannerton basket. But I didn't use them for years, for a long time, because I used to do a variation of this by just making one big sourdough loaf, and that's what I've been doing for quite a long time. So I got rid of them. I got rid of the basket just to free up space in the kitchen. And today I was thinking, God, I wish I had them baskets again, because you get a nice, it's easier to manage, and you get a nice patterning around the top as well. Also, when these, so I'm going to put these in the oven now, but before I put them in the oven, just very quickly before, I'm going to put a little bit of water in a tray, and it'll, like, you'll get a big steam. It'll let off a lot of steam, which will help the colouring in the bread, and it'll also help again with the oven spring. Right, where are we? It's all about timing, but not panicking. So you get your little bit of water. It's only a tiny little bit at the bottom. And then they're in at around about between gas mark 6 and gas mark 7, just in between. It doesn't have to be a really hot oven, but gas mark 6 is fine. I don't know what that is in the electric. I should know really, shouldn't I, doing a a YouTube episode on baking sourdough, but you can quickly Google it and you can find. So I do apologise for that. So yes, the bread is in the oven. The oven will be the bread will be in the oven for about the next 20 minutes. They don't really need more than 20 minutes. You can leave them in for a little bit longer if you like a lot more colour in your bread. So in 20 minutes, I'll take them out, put them on a rack. God, I'm losing my marbles, it must be age. Yes, put them on a rack to cool. Once they've cooled, I'll open the bread and show you what it's like on the inside. So I'll see you in about 20 minutes. Well, the bread's been in there for a good 20 minutes and the smell is absolutely beautiful. The smell, the aroma it's coming through, absolutely gorgeous. But now it's time to take them out and see how well. Here we go. Wow, they're looking smashing. I'm just, the smell, the aroma coming up is absolutely beautiful. I think it's my most favourite smell of anything. It's so homely and cosy. Can get all homely and cosy smells from it. So what we need to do now is just let them cool down for about, I like to give them a good 45 minutes, because then the structure of the bread has a chance to form the structure of the crumb inside. At the moment, these breads are just full of steam, you know, through the cooking process. And you find that as the steam dissipates, the bread, again, it changes its shape a little. But there we go. We'll see what they look like inside in 45 minutes. See you then. Well, the bread has had time to cool down. Still, the smell is absolutely beautiful. Nice and crusty. Lovely crust on there. And if I just open it out, oh look, you can see the lovely crusty crumb in there. Lovely crust, lovely, nice and soft on the inside. Lovely, absolutely smashing. Great with some lovely hot soup. Well, if you liked what you've seen today, please give me a like. And if you really like what you've seen, please press the subscribe button. It's free and it will help me to get this channel going. So, but it's been a joy doing this for you today, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.